You know that feeling when you're watching a game and you swear the announcers are rooting for the other team? Well, it turns out you might not be imagining it. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on sports commentary, look at the hidden messages that shape what we see, and trust me, you might be a little shocked by what's really going on.
I mean, it's a fair question, right? We assume these guys are just neutral observers, telling us what's happening on the field or in the ring. But is that really what they're doing? Are they just describing the action, or are they actually telling us a story? A story with a hero and a villain? It's a question that goes way beyond sports.
So to really get to the bottom of this, we need a solid case study. We're going to zoom in on the commentary from one specific boxing match, Jake Paul versus the bigger, much more experienced Anthony Joshua. Now this is a perfect setup, right? A classic underdog versus champion dynamic that gives us a ton to look at in how the story of the fight gets told. But here's the thing, we're not just going off a hunch here. Nope, we're going to get scientific with it, all thanks to the work of a researcher named Dr. Rodas. She used a really specific method to cut through all the noise and analyze what the commentators were actually saying and, maybe more importantly, how they were saying it.
And that method is called content analysis. Okay, that sounds super academic, I know. But basically, it's just a way of being a detective for words. You systematically break down a piece of media, like our fight commentary, and you look for patterns. You're hunting for certain words, certain themes, to see if there's a hidden story being told between the lines.
All right, so we have our method, we have our case study. Let's get right into it. It's time to step into the ring and really deconstruct the language the announcers were using. This is where it gets good.
Okay, just listen to this. This is how they described Anthony Joshua. Not a strong puncher, not a skilled puncher, a murderous puncher. Whoa. I mean, that's some seriously powerful emotional language. It paints a picture of this terrifying, almost unstoppable force, doesn't it?
Now, hang on to that murderous puncher idea and listen to how they talk about Jake Paul. It's all about working his way in, going back to the basics. See the difference? It's super technical, almost like a coach in a training session. It's not the language of a fearsome gladiator, it's the language of a student trying to figure things out.
And this table right here, this is what Dr. Rodas's analysis found, and it lays it all out perfectly. The commentary was totally different depending on who they were talking about. For Joshua, it was all hype, all emotion. For Paul, it was pretty much just neutral, descriptive, play-by-play. But then there's this third category they found, just for Joshua, instructional. What is that about?
So what is this all telling us? Well, when you start putting all these little clues together, the sentiment, the feeling of the commentary becomes, well, pretty darned obvious. It's clear they weren't just calling a fight. They were telling a story, and that story had a very clear hero.
I mean, just look at this side by side. It couldn't be more different. For Joshua, you get words of immense power, murderous puncher, control everything. For Paul, you get words of effort and technique, working his way in, trying to bait him. It's like they're building two totally separate stories for two guys who are in the exact same ring.
And hey, this isn't just about a few comments here and there. When you actually count it up, the numbers are just undeniable. This chart shows it all. The emotional, hype-filled language, overwhelmingly aimed at Joshua. The technical, almost boring, descriptive stuff, yeah, that was pretty much all for Paul. It's not a gut feeling anymore, it's a measurable bias. But here is where it gets really, really interesting. The analysis found that it went beyond just a little favoritism. One of the commentators wasn't just hyping up the action, they were basically acting like a second coach in Anthony Joshua's corner, giving him instructions in real time. Just listen to this. You've got to be strong. If you control your breathing, you control everything. He can't hit you unless you've given it to him. That's not a play-by-play announcer. That's a cornerman. That's the kind of stuff you yell between rounds, but it's being broadcast live to the entire world, and it's clearly aimed at just one of the fighters. Okay, so let's jump ahead to the climax of the fight. Let's see how this whole story they've been building comes to its grand finale. Because as the fight gets more intense, you'll see the commentary's focus and its pace get laser-focused on leading us, the audience, to one specific conclusion. So the fight's getting to its end, and the commentary gets short, sharp, almost like punches. Listen to how the language zeroes in on one fighter's struggle. It's just these little powerful phrases.
You can feel the tension ratcheting up, right? Every single word is now a building block in the drama. The announcers are walking us step by step toward that final, inevitable moment. And there it is, the final punchline, the conclusion to the story they've been carefully crafting all night long, delivered with as much dramatic weight as possible for the fighter they've clearly been championing.
So, the bell rings, the fight's over. But our analysis isn't. So what's the big deal? Why does it matter that we just spent all this time picking apart the commentary from one boxing match? What does this mean for us?
Well, here's the #1 takeaway from Dr. Rodis's work. Commentary is never just a simple description of what's happening. It's not a mirror. It's more like a lens, an active storyteller that focuses our attention and can totally shape how we feel about who won, who lost, and why.
So, to sum it all up, what did we really learn here? We learned that just a few word choices can create a hero and an underdog out of thin air. We saw that an announcer can literally become a coach for one side. And the really big one, that commentary we think is objective can be subtly pushing us to think a certain way. And this is the most important part. This doesn't just happen in a boxing ring. This happens when you watch the news, when you read about politics. It's happening in almost all the media you consume.
So I'm going to leave you with this question. The next time you're watching anything, a game, the news, you name it, just listen a little closer. Ask yourself, are they just giving me the facts, or are they telling me a story? Who are you really listening to? The person on the screen or the storyteller behind the mic?